In 1939, on the eve of the Second World War, an archaeological discovery in the quiet countryside of Suffolk, England, forever changed our understanding of early medieval Britain. Beneath the green mounds of Sutton Hoo, a burial site that had long stirred local legends, archaeologists unearthed one of the most remarkable finds in European history. The remains of a ship burial from the early 7th century filled with treasures that rivaled the splendor of any ancient king. At the center of this astonishing discovery was a helmet intricately crafted, richly adorned, and hauntingly evocative of a world where warriors, kings, and myths intertwined. The helmet, now one of the most iconic artifacts in the British Museum, embodies both mystery and magnificence. Its gilded panels depict scenes of warriors, riders, and mythological creatures, blending artistry with symbolism. It is not just a piece of armor but a ceremonial object, perhaps worn by a king in life and interred with him in death. Alongside it were gold buckles, shoulder clasps set with garnets, silver dishes from Byzantium, and weapons of fine craftsmanship. Together, these objects speak of wealth, influence, and connections stretching far beyond East Anglia to Scandinavia, the Frankish kingdoms, and even the Mediterranean world. Yet, despite the richness of the grave goods, one haunting absence defined the Sutton Hoo burial. No human remains were found. The soilless acidity had dissolved any trace of the body that once lay inside the great ship, leaving only the ghostly impression of wood planks and iron rivets where the vessel had been. Who was this powerful figure buried with such grandeur? And why does his name remain lost to history? The world of early Anglo-Saxon England. To understand Sutton Hoo's significance, one must step into the turbulent world of early 7th century England. This was an age of shifting kingdoms, where Anglo-Saxon warlords and kings carved out realms on the ruins of Roman Britain. Christianity was only just beginning to spread, brought by missionaries from Rome and Ireland. While older pagan traditions still held sway, power was expressed not only through battle, but through display lavish feasts, ornate treasures, and burials that proclaimed status and legacy. The Sutton Hoo burial fits squarely within this culture of spectacle. The very act of burying a king or chieftain in a ship was a statement of grandeur, echoing Scandinavian traditions where ships symbolized both prestige and the journey to the afterlife. To enter a vessel 27 meters long, laden with treasure, into the earth required immense labor and organization. It was not merely a funeral, it was a declaration of authority, meant to awe allies and rivals alike. The treasures of Sutton Hoo, the finds at Sutton Hoo, represent some of the finest craftsmanship of the age. The helmet, in particular, captures the imagination. Made of iron and covered with decorative panels of tin, bronze, and gilt, it originally featured bright garnets and intricate designs. Its face mask, with a stylized nose, eyebrows, and mustache, gives it an almost otherworldly quality, blurring the line between human and divine. Some scholars suggest the helmet evoked the image of Odin or other warrior gods, reinforcing the sacred role of kingship. Other treasures included the shoulder clasps, enormous gold clasps inlaid with garnets, and millefiori glass, used to fasten a cloak or armor. Their precision and symmetry demonstrate a mastery of metalwork unparalleled in the period. The belt buckle, a massive gold buckle weighing over 400 grams, decorated with interlacing animal designs that symbolize both power and protection. The silverware, a collection of Byzantine silver dishes and spoons, some inscribed with Christian symbols, suggesting diplomatic contacts or tribute from distant courts. Weapons, a sword with a jeweled pommel, a decorated shield, and spears, all ceremonial as much as practical. Each of these items tells a story not only of personal wealth but of cultural connections. Sutton Hoo's treasures reveal a kingdom integrated into a wider world, trading, raiding, and exchanging gifts across seas and continents. Whose tomb was it? The absence of a body has left the central question of Sutton Hoo unresolved. Who was buried there? The leading theory points to King Ridwald of East Anglia. Ridwald, who ruled in the early 7th century, is described by the historian Bede as a powerful king, and the first East Anglian ruler to convert to Christianity, though he famously hedged his bets by keeping both Christian and pagan altars. His reign fits the dating of the burial, and the grandeur of the grave goods corresponds to his reputed status. Yet no definitive proof ties Sutton Hoo to Ridwold. Some argue that the burial could belong to another royal figure, perhaps one of Ridwold's successors or predecessors. Others suggest that the absence of remains may indicate a cenotaph, a symbolic grave rather than an actual burial. Was this, then, a monument to a king rather than his final resting place? The truth remains elusive. A burial without a body, the mystery of the missing body, has long puzzled archaeologists. In many ship burials of Scandinavia, skeletal remains survive, giving us clear evidence of who was buried. At Sutton Hoo, however, the acidic soil of Suffolk likely dissolved bone and tissue over the centuries, leaving only trace chemical signatures where the body once lay. Modern scientific techniques have confirmed faint residues of phosphate and echo of human presence. Though the bones themselves are gone, this absence lends the site a ghostly quality. Visitors to Sutton Hoo or to the reconstructed burial chamber in the British Museum often describe a sense of presence, as though the missing king lingers invisibly among his treasures. In this way, the mystery amplifies the power of the site, inviting imagination to fill the void left by time. Sutton Hoo and the poem of Beowulf. The discovery of Sutton Hoo has also reshaped how we read early English literature. The Anglo-Saxon epic Beowulf, set in Scandinavia but preserved in England, describes ship burials, warrior kings, and treasure hoards with uncanny similarity to Sutton Hoo. Before 1939, such passages were often dismissed as poetic invention. After Sutton Hoo, scholars recognized that Beowulf preserved real traditions, echoing practices that once defined elite society in England. The helmet itself resembles descriptions of war gear in the poem, where helmets gleamed with gold and warriors were buried with their weapons. Sutton Hoo thus bridges the gap between legend and history, showing that the world of Beowulf was not pure fantasy, but rooted in the lived experience of early medieval elites. Sutton Hoo and the modern imagination. Since its discovery, Sutton Hoo has captivated the public imagination. Its treasures, now displayed in the British Museum, draw millions of visitors who marvel at their beauty and craftsmanship. The site itself, managed by the National Trust, allows visitors to walk among the burial mounds, contemplating the hidden stories beneath the earth. The Sutton Hoo helmet, in particular, has become an icon of England's early past. It appears in textbooks, documentaries, and films. Netflix's The Dig 2021, dramatizing the excavation, introduced a new generation to the story, highlighting both the thrill of discovery and the poignancy of uncovering lives long forgotten. The mystery also fuels endless speculation. Was Sutton Hoo's buried ship intended to carry the dead king to the afterlife? Like the ships of Norse sagas, was the burial part of a political performance, meant to assert East Anglia's dominance? Or was it, as some suggest, a hybrid ritual blending pagan and Christian elements at a time of cultural transition? The enduring legacy. What makes Sutton Hoo so compelling is not just its treasures, but its unanswered questions. The burial reminds us that history is often fragmentary, glimpsed through objects rather than words. The helmet, shield, and clasps tell us of power and artistry, but they cannot speak the name of their owner. That silence is part of the site's allure. The unnamed king becomes a symbol of all that is lost to time, a representative of an age that balanced on the cusp of myth and history. For historians, Sutton Hoo is a window into early Anglo-Saxon society. For artists and writers, it is a source of inspiration. For the public, it is a reminder that beneath the soil of ordinary fields may lie stories capable of reshaping our understanding of the past. Conclusion. The mystery of Sutton Hoo remains unsolved, but perhaps that is what gives it its enduring power. In a mound of earth in Suffolk, archaeologists uncovered not just gold and silver, but a story that continues to unfold. A ship without a sailor, a king without a name, a helmet that gazes back at us across the centuries. All these elements weave a tale of grandeur and enigma. As we stand before the Sutton Hoo helmet, its empty eyes staring out from the shadows of history, we are reminded that the past is never fully gone. It lingers in artifacts, in stories, and in mysteries that refuse to be silenced.